And even more than that, it comes down to character. You know, I can't be telling you guys this shit since 2012 and then slack off in myself. So you need to get it to a point where, like, you know, the fundamental characteristic of a man is his character. So your character and your pride is defined by your ability to get things done, to be productive, to be a man, to you know, wake up ready to win, right? You're feeling depressed and anxious in that hour, 10 p.m. or 10 a.m. You need to think, how do I change focus? How do I change focus and take an action on something that's gonna make me win? This to me is the biggest thing. Like when I'm going through my course and I'm going through the state section, I'm going through all these techniques to change your state, and I'm really reality testing it. I'm really thinking, like, what do I actually do in my own life? You know, because my mood's not stable. It's up and down just like everyone else. But the difference is I'm like, if I'm feeling depressed or I'm feeling fearful about something, and I'm going in and out of those states all the time. I'm going in and out of all of the emotions all the time. I'm starting to give myself coaching thoughts, and I'm starting to say, what do I have to do to win this hour? You know? And I don't win every hour. Some hour I might lose to porn. Some hour I might lose to junk food. Some hour I might lose to feeling sorry for myself and being a bitch and sitting there with a victim mentality because I'm not taking responsibility, or I want certain things to be different instead of accepting how things actually are and moving forward. I don't want to take a loss for whatever reason, or I'm pissed off because there's construction next door. As you can see, I was trying to handle the construction problem, so I rented a 2-story penthouse with, turns out there's one other unit on the floor. Guess what they're doing? Non-stop construction. To the point where I don't think there's a single place in Georgia where I can't hear some fucking dipshit doing construction next door at all hours. So that tells me that I just need to get the fuck out of this country, period. You know, that's the answer. If I can't throw a bunch of money at it, instead of sitting there being in anger, I need to get out of the country, and I need to not be in my place during the day. So that's part of what I need to do to win. That's part of it, you know? Because if I don't do that, I'm sitting there angry, and I'm sitting there in a victim mentality. Why does this happen to me? And then I'm sitting at home and I'm getting pissed off, and I'm tempted to go bang on the door next door. And that can be a real problem because I've got a real temper. And it's one thing, I want to check that in the bud before it becomes a problem. Especially in a foreign country. I don't want to be sitting here because I beat the shit out of some guy who's just completely disrespectful and doing construction on a Sunday morning, even though he deserves it. You know, as you can see, anger is something that I slip in and out of as well. And anger is just a wanting things to be a certain way, and reality is telling you differently, right? And the longer you stay in that, the longer you're arguing with reality. Whenever we argue with reality, we hurt ourselves. Okay, and again, I'm not saying that I don't do this all the time. I do this all the time. I'm trying to reprogram the same stuff you're trying to reprogram. But I at least have the game plan. I at least know what winning is. I at least know, I'm self-aware to know if I'm not acting in accordance with what's going to make me win. And I'm at least in that battle every day, you know? And one of the things that, if I'm going to give myself credit, the stuff that used to take me 2 days to get over, I can get over in 2 hours. The stuff that used to take me 2 hours to get over, I can get over in 2 minutes, you know? And a lot of that's come from this application of waking up to win. How do I find a way to win? Living in the day, and then even more than that, living in the hour. Because I'll tell you something. All the time, almost always, when you're depressed, when you're angry, when you're in anxiety, you're either living in the past or you're living in the future. Like fear, anxiety, that's always in the future. That's fear of future. Fear is just like picturing future pain and not wanting it to happen. depressed is always a past event, because once you thought about something, it's in the past. Okay. Or you're depressed because you're thinking about stuff that you have to do in the future. So you're not living in present time, you're not living in current time, and you're not living within the hour. Okay, so if you just start to measure things in terms of the day and just be like, okay, as long as I'm running on Will's organizational system and I'm living 50% for today and 50% for the future, and all, my shopping, quarterly, everything is all structured, all automated, all running on tick, as long as I just fucking bang off every task and subtask and have a good system, my future is going to be taken care of, And as long as I just keep staying in the hour, my present's going to be taken care of. I might not be able to get to a point where I'm super happy today, where I'm at a 10 out of 10 on the state scale, and you'll see more about the state scale in my course, but I'm at least above a 5. I'm at least cruising, I'm at least fighting to stay okay, right? That's a 5 out of 10. 4 out of 10 is anger, and then lower than that is anxiety, depression, and at the bottom is nihilism, right? So we're constantly going up and down that ladder. So whenever you're struggling, just remember to center yourself back in the hour and think what can I do to win the hour? And the biggest thing, dude, is don't beat yourself up for the loss that you took last hour. If you ate junk food and watched pornography in the morning, that's a bad start to the day, right? For a lot of guys, that day's going to be lost, but it doesn't have to be. If you can write yourself and sort yourself out and be like, man, I fucked up 8 a.m. till noon, I lost, but you know what? I'm going to go super hard from noon till 10 tonight, to where I feel in my heart that I've created enough forward momentum, I've stacked enough wins to where I feel like I turn this loss into a win. And that's the game, because ultimately it doesn't matter what you make in the future, what you have in the future, you're always going to be living in that day. You're always going to be living in the day. It doesn't go away. Having to win the day doesn't go away no matter how much money you have, girls, you have all these different things you may want. You are still going to be wrestling with your emotions. You still don't get to sit on the sidelines. So if you want the highest possible quality of life, you don't have to buy a single product from me. You just have to incorporate this mentality. You have to incorporate this mentality that state is what everything's about. I live for state. Even the belief in God and heaven is just the aim for state in your next life, in the afterlife. So everything is for state. I want to be as consistently happy as possible, which means to be in as consistently a good state as possible. I do that through living 50% for today and 50% for the future. And that's the strategy. The tactic is getting up early and waking up early every single day and aiming to win that day. Judging your day by, what at the end of the day, what you did to win that day. Okay, and not just productivity growth cult stuff, the amount of enjoyment and excitement and adventurousness and aliveness that you had as well. Happiness is the barometer. Okay, not just tasks for the sake of fucking tasks, but I accomplish these tasks and it's creating a higher quality of life. And on a granular level, even smaller level of tactics is you live within the hour, okay? And the biggest game changer for negative emotions is the focus change. Focus back on the hour and asking yourself, how do I win this hour? What do I have to do to win this hour? And the answer will be there. It's usually going to be ticking off one of those tasks or those subtasks, hitting the gym. It's not going to be... the answer is never going to be I need to lay down on the bed and be depressed. There's always going to be something that you can do to move yourself forward. Even if you know that you're probably not going to get up to a high state that day, you're at least going to keep yourself out of fear, depressed, and anger. Or you're at least fighting the good fight hour by hour to do that, knowing that 2-3 days from now, your barometer, your baseline, will be back to neutral, and then you can aim for those higher states, those 7s, 8s out of 10s. A lot more of that in the course that's coming up. So I know this was kind of a long-winded explanation, but there was a lot I wanted to cover on this, so I hope you found it useful. And if you got any questions, let me know in the comment section. And if you want help with this, if you're an entrepreneur from the ages of 23 to 35 and you're interested in some coaching on your health, wealth, relationship, lifestyle, mindset, organization, discipline, and really just maxing yourself out, which really just means like maximizing your happiness. If you're underperforming your potential and you're not as happy as you know you could be or should be, check out my page, revolutionarylifestyledesign.com/coaching. If you like what you see, book a call with my team, and we'll see if you're a good fit.